You're listening to the Future of Convenience podcast, brought to you by Global Convenience Store Focus, featuring senior retail executives and experts in the global convenience, fuels, and mobility retail industry. Hosted by Dan Munford, Nick Scherzer, and Carolyn Schnare. Welcome to the Future of Convenience. I'm Carolyn Schnare, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dan Munford. Dan, how you doing?
Hello, Carolyn. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fantastic because we have a really, really good show ahead of us today with the winner of the best Foodvenience store in the whole wide world, who's going to tell us all about their big win, the team behind the success, and their vision for the future. Before we get started, I want to tell you about a Dan-Day refrigeration. Ready to revolutionize your convenience store kitchen? Look no further than a Dan-Day refrigeration. With a Dan-Day's innovative patented technology, you'll enjoy a dramatic reduction in energy consumption compared to traditional refrigeration units. A Dan-Day drawers offer large capacity and stackability, allowing you to optimize every inch of your storage area and maintain consistent, precise temperatures. Choose a Dan-Day refrigeration for unmatched efficiency and performance made for your convenience. Visit danday.com to learn more. So we've had a really exciting last few episodes. We've been talking with the top Foodvenience in the world retailers. And just to set it up a little bit, we've had this competition in the summer and the fall to find the best food retailers in convenience from all corners of the earth. We announced our winners on November 7th in a special episode. We've been talking about LinkedIn. Now we've talked to the third place and second place winners on this show. And today we're extremely excited to talk to the winner, the very best Foodvenience operator in the whole world. And Dan, I'm going to kick it over to you to hear your level 10 enthusiasm and bring on our guest.
Applegreen, and Joe, you've always liked the phrase, "You're the winner," haven't you? I think we all like that phrase.
Absolutely.
How does it feel?
Dan, we're thrilled, and Carolyn, great to see you again. No, we're absolutely thrilled, and like we see this is a journey of well over 30 years. We started, I was working with Patrick Bewley on coffee in our site in Baldoyle well over 30 years ago. We got a master franchise for the food brand Wimpy, which was kind of burgers and chips, and we have evolved and grown from there. And really, this is a recognition for our teams, from our internal design team, our coffee team, our developments team, and the whole then operations team who've pulled it all together. So really, it's a celebration for their success and what they've done, but it's kind of building on our experience over that 30-year journey, and it's just fantastic. You feel pride. It's a bit like being a parent, Dan, to be honest. You feel such immense pride in what people have achieved, and you try and give people a bit of guidance and direction, and then let them off. And they've just beaten all the records, and we're thrilled for the Irish team. So really, really pleased.
Well, congratulations, Joe. And I must say, I mean, obviously, as you know, we put the announcement out on LinkedIn with a video. So there were I think there were quite a few Applegreen meetings and groups that were watching that. And I guess, I saw some videos afterwards. Obviously I wouldn't have been sent the videos if you hadn't been you that was the winner. But obviously, because you were the winner, I ended up seeing quite a few videos that had been taken, a little bit shaky, some of those videos, but they can a lot of emotion.
A lot of it, yeah. It just so happened there was a couple of operations meetings in around the country at the time, and it just so happened they got together and they were watching it online, and they were thrilled. And as I said, it's not just Carl Fitzgerald and his team are running a fantastic site down in Rathcoole and fully deserve it, but it's on the back of all their wider support team. As I said, design, development, operations, everyone else are really just supportive, and it's just great to see the emotion within the business. And our sort of head of operations in Ireland, Aaron Duggan, he sort of signs off all his emails now. It's sort of best Foodvenience store in the world. So it's just fantastic. And what we're doing is we're putting that up to our friends and colleagues in the UK and the US, and it's saying try and outbeat that. So it's great to see the internal competition.
Well, that's great. As you know, Joe, I mean, it was a big effort, the best Foodvenience store in the world competition, and obviously we had Frank Gleason behind it to give it extra boosters. So I mean, it's a bit like, it became a bit like SpaceX in the end in terms of how big the audience was. Well, not quite, but what I mean. I mean, it was a real success for us. So we're so pleased to see a worthy winner like Rathcoole. And obviously, I've known Carl. I mean, just talk about the store manager for a while, because I've known Carl for many years, and he's very motivated guy, isn't he? You
Mm.
know.
Yeah, and a great leader. He kind of he's a team around him. It's a bit like Alex Ferguson. He's on a second and third sort of team of building him up and sort of bringing them on, and it gives him nothing but pride to see his team grow and expand into other parts of the business and ending up running their own sites. And it's great to see that, and that's part of our culture. It's a sort of it's not just about yourself, it's about the wider team, because we all can't do it. These are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week sites. You can't be there all the time, so you're only as good as your last visitor. So no, it's great for that, and other people who are sort of newer to the organization really get inspiration of sort of talking to the likes of Carolyn and Aaron and the senior team, and just seeing kind of what can they do and how they get up quickly up through the organization. And I would say hats off to our own internal HR team here. We've done a whole lot of in-house development and training programs for our sort of what we call our MDP, management development programs, for both retail and head office. And it's great to see the success of that after years of development. So no, wonderful.
Well, Joe, we've known each other a long time, you know, and I can remember when Applegreen wasn't quite as big a business as it is today, you know, many years ago. And you always had that drive and ambition, you know, since the early days. And, you know, it's amazing to see. Do you have to pinch yourself sometimes when you look at some of the numbers that you can now talk about as a reality rather than an aspiration?
Yeah, absolutely. But I suppose we just keep on striving for more, and we love it. And I think a lot of people come to Ireland to see what's happening in Ireland in terms of food, but really that's on the back. You mentioned Frank Leeson earlier on, and he was within Topaz, which then became sort of Circle K. And we likes of sort of Musgraves, Maxall, Spar, and we all kind of compete against each other. And while we're not in most cases direct competitors, you're just buzzing off each other, you're complimenting people for doing things well, and you're trying to achieve. And then suddenly, so many years later, you suddenly find that we have a great business in Ireland because of that internal competition, and it works really well. And we all love putting ourselves forward. You're not going to win every competition, but you put yourselves forward, you learn from each other. We go out of our way to visit, whether it's New York, London, different parts of the States. You're looking at what's good out there, and these sort of competitions gives us an opportunity to see on video who are some of the best in the world, and then we try and put down a trip to go over there and see those sites ourselves. And in the same way, we welcome competitors to our sites in Ireland to see them. They'll be open arms to welcome us when we travel. So no, we're looking forward to that in the new year.
Well, I was pleased to be able to go over in the springtime this year to get to Ireland and taste and sample and enjoy some of the great food that you do have to offer. So from your perspective, Joe, we talked to Fiona Matthews back in the springtime on this podcast, and I'll link to that in the show notes as well. But we talked a great deal about the food and how it got to where it is. But from your CEO perspective, why is food service important, and how did it get you and Applegreen to where you are?
Well, when we first started in our business, Carolyn, we were very much what we call a dealer business. So we had very small shops, C stores, convenience stores for the American audience. And we earned a very low margin on our fuel. It was a dealer margin, and we had to try and reinvent ourselves. And we knew that the only future really was coffee and food to go. And as I said earlier on, this is a 30-year program of development and expansion. It just doesn't happen overnight. And it just takes time, and you have to build in muscle memory within your business as to how to sort of look after your not only just your gross profit on your food, but your labor costs, your paper and packaging costs, your whole presentation. We analyze the shoulder hours to see is it profitable to be open for extra hours or not. It's a whole science now behind it, and it takes a long time. You can't just flick a switch and turn this on. It just takes the company and the business a long time to evolve. And the other thing about it is you learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes. So it's that's really important, is to trial things and to sort of fail fast. And I think that's good. But what I would say is we have a cluster of brands that are our own brands that we created ourselves, and they're very good to us. But what we have seen in the UK and in the US, that our brand partnerships have worked extremely well, and those customers in those countries, like the Starbucks, the Dunkin', Burger Kings, Shake Shacks, Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, Pandas, Paneras, Pret, like we have across the range. And what we're trying to do is, if you take, say, New York as an example, we have all 27 motorway sites from when you leave New York City right up to Buffalo at Niagara Falls and back again. So we're trying to offer our customers different solutions along the way, so it's not the same offer in every single site. So those partnerships are really important, and we strive to be the best in class partner with those big brands. They do regular audits, usually monthly audits, and we strive to be in the sort of the top quartiles in our performance in each of those. And it's very easy to kind of get to be in the top quartile once, but the question is, can you do it with all your brands all the time? And that's the secret sauce, that you need a whole management system behind you to be able to deliver it. And within Applegreen now, we've over 700 food outlets across the 3 countries in which we operate. So it is it's difficult to do that, and you just take time. Another good thing we did, Caroline, was we a couple of years ago we set up what we called the Hungry Games, and this is where we have the brands within Ireland and the UK. They have to win to get on the team, to have a face off for whether it's the quickest burgers, the best sandwiches within Subway, the best coffees, and we compete against each other. And within country, there's representatives have to win to get places on the team, and it's a bit like the Ryder Cup, and you're playing against. And for the first time now in 2025, our colleagues from the US will be joining the games, and it'll be really international, and it really ups the standard and the quality of everyone's performance. And it's great to see, and kind of people coming up to me and said, "Oh, I didn't win this year, but I'm going to win next year." And it gives you no better joy than when you hear people with that enthusiasm. It's great.
Well, it's very impressive what you've done in the US, Joe, and perhaps staying on the US. Obviously, if you're a musical artist, breaking into the US is always seen as the major achievement, the career goal. And Applegreen are a big business. I know you're not a musical artist, Joe, but just as an analogy, I mean, Applegreen are a big business in the US now, aren't you? I think I read in your recent release that you're the biggest Irish business in the US. Is that right?
No, we're one of the biggest, one of the top 5 employers in the US. So
yes.
We have roughly 7,000 people working with us in the States, and we're up there in the top 5. I think we're number 3, but these things change a lot. So it's great. So we're concentrating in motorway sites, so what they call interstate travel plazas. It's currently the focus is all about food to go. We don't have fuel and convenience store operations yet, but it's something we'd like to do. We're investing heavily in our electric vehicle charging in all these motorway locations. So we're seeing that business grow and expand. And we're 10 years in America now. For the first 6-7 years, we were predominantly in our smaller gas filling stations, and then we moved up into the bigger locations, starting in Connecticut and then across into New York. And then 3 years ago, we made a purchase of HMS Host's Travel Plaza operations, which really expanded our footprint. And we see now our future as a sort of hospitality retailer, and our passion and our purpose is delighting customers in transit with passionate hospitality and brands they love. And that's our purpose, and we kind of see it. That's really what we want to do. And it's when you're coming in, most people want to use the bathroom, they want to take their dog for a walk, they want to charge their car, get a coffee. And it's all about hospitality. And we're not really what we would call kind of convenience store operators anymore. We're seeing much more about the hospitality business, and it's people taking a break, and they need to be entertained for that 20-30 minutes while they stop on a long journey.
Well, I like the sort of terminology around hospitality, and I suppose one of the reasons we came up with the best Foodvenience store in the world was because we felt that that a new terminology was necessary to explain what was actually going on. But But in a way, do you think the convenience word is in a sense less useful in describing your business?
Yeah, I think what's happening is convenience to an extent has been kind of predominantly based around the convenience store or the shop, what people call in Ireland and the UK. And we're gone much beyond that now, and it's all about coffee and food to go and clean toilets and good parking, and it's a much bigger reason why people want to stop at your facility. And when I first started in this business, would you believe, God Almighty, well over 30 years ago now, you couldn't get a cup of coffee in one of our stores, and we then developed the coffee with Bewley's here in Ireland, and then we went across. We were looking at sites in the UK, and in fairness, Costa Coffee bought out a couple of Coffee Nation, a couple of others, and really put coffee on the map in our sector in the UK, and then people use that as a stepping stone onto further things. Greg's is a call out brand doing fantastic work in the UK in our sector, as is Subway. And I think that's what's happened. The business has evolved, and the reality in our sector, Dan, is fuel sales are in decline. Things like cigarette sales are in decline. So we as retailers have to reinvent ourselves, and we have to evolve our business into growth markets. And the reality is people will always need to go to the bathroom. You will always need to get some food, and you'll take a break. And that's why we see capturing the food and coffee is the most important part of our business. And the other thing you see more and more is, while there's a lot of people who travel individually, especially now with the working from home trend, you see an increased activity over the weekend where people maybe worked at home during the week, then they travel with their families at the weekend. So you need to offer the whole family facilities, not just the one person. So hence you might have sushi and salads in a convenience store, and you might have burgers and coffee and Subways or chopsticks in the food area. So you have to offer people a mix. And it's one of the other big partnerships that has worked really well for us. Is like in the UK, we partnered with Waitrose for our store, and in Ireland with Marks and Spencer's. And that's been fantastic to offer people a variety of sandwiches, salads, grab and go food, which they really like the quality of, and it works very well for us.
Well, I can attest firsthand, having my family, when we go on vacation, we go up the New Jersey Turnpike. I live down in DC area on my way up to
Here
Massachusetts.
you stop, Carolyn, and buy something.
Oh, I did. That's what I was going to say. This is a godsend. I mean, my kids are teenagers now, but which means they're very vocal about everything and very opinionated. And when we pull into, the Molly Pitcher rest stop or Gilmer rest stop or whatever, we come in there and, there's Shake Shack, there's, Burger King, there's everything. And convenience items as well. So, you get your fuel. We did everything exactly like you said we did. You didn't even have to tell me to do it, but you certainly elevated those New Jersey rest stops for sure. I mean, New Jersey doesn't generally bring with it always the the most beautiful place in America because it is New Jersey, but it's my home state. So I'm very sensitive to that. And I love that state. But, a lot of people, that's their only experience. They're coming from the South, they're going to the North, they're driving through Jersey, and they stop at some of these rest stops, and they have been beautifully revamped. And I owe that all to you, but my family, especially, not arguing about where to eat, because there is something for everybody, and you can do all the things and get in, get out, and get on your way. And you know that there's a reliable one right up the way. And as I understand it, I think you're, like you said, you're doing that whole corridor. You're going over to Pennsylvania. You've got the whole Northeast covered. So that's really exciting to see. So as I continue to go north, I know that we're in good hands.
Yeah, we're trying, and we spent an awful lot of money there in the last couple of years. We still some more to go to complete our final rollout of sites. We've just 3 new sites to build out in New York, and that completes our New York, New Jersey area. Then we'll be moving on to Pennsylvania. And we've got 4 locations in Colorado that we will start building next year and open in 2026. So we've a lot in the pipeline in the States. But it's what's incredible in the States is that people tend to sort of drive more than they would fly around Europe. And as a result of that, they need to stop, and they've got big facilities to whether they're bringing their dogs or cats with them, or they're traveling as a family, and they need these long stops for that 20 minutes, half an hour. We're looking at putting in exercise areas, dog walking areas, stuff like that. That we're recognizing that it's a long time ago when you were coming into one of our facilities, not ours being the gas filling stations or petrol filling station sector, and you'd be given a key on a brick or on a chain to say go out to an outdoor toilet. And if you think about the development over the 30 years where we are now, where you've got sort of this toilet facilities suitable for the equivalent of hotels and things, and great food brand partners. So it's all coming together, and the business is evolving. And we love America. We love the volume. We love the people. We love the can-do attitude. Um, and it's great. And Carolyn, I'm with you in loving New Jersey. I've never seen such a most populated state with traffic. It's huge. I often say, kind of like in Ireland, if you use it as a basis of a kind of the travel being volume being one, the UK is somewhere to 2 to 3 times the volume, and in the States it's somewhere close to 7, 8, 9 times the volume. It's just incredible to see the increased volume.
Just on staying on that's some amazing sort of comparison. I mean, staying on the US, you mentioned you were looking at you were making substantial EV charging on the go investments. I think in a previous interview we compared the Irish to the UK to the US market in terms of where it is on the energy transition as it's known. Any views on that in terms of where the US is currently, and obviously you must be thinking about that a lot as you put these investments in.
Yeah, well, what we found is that sort of UK has got the highest level of adoption and usage within our 3 markets, and then followed by Ireland, but it's growing and coming up quick. But you'd be surprised that the States is also coming up quick. And while we might look at the States with our figures on average, if I was to exclude from Albany out to Buffalo from our list of sites, because that's a slower adoption heading out towards the sort of Niagara Falls area. But if you take the ones that are in Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, that sort of area, our adoption and usage is a similar proportion as it is in Ireland and the UK. So despite what you might think, and it's sort of drill baby drill from President-elect Trump, there's a lot of people who still have electric vehicle cars, and they're very pleased with them. And it's great that we can provide those facilities. And what I would also say, all 3 markets in which we operate have difficulty getting power off the grid. It's not just one country being better or worse than the other. All 3 have it, and it's trying to get the power to be able to put in the facilities. But then when we put the facilities in, then there's good adoption and there's good usage. And it's a case now of how do we get that power to give the customer confidence to say, go and buy an EV car, because there'll be no problem charging when you're on your journey. And I think that's coming, and we're generally getting better and better. And there's been good subsidies available again across all 3 markets. Probably the States has been standout in terms of maximum subsidies, and that gives the customer confidence, because we've got support to invest in charging, and then the usage will come because customers will know their facilities are there.
Very, very good, Joe. I mean, and hence, I guess things are very positive. You've announced plans recently. You're going to invest €1 billion across the 3 markets. So some big expansion ahead still.
Yeah, so roughly speaking, that's kind of about 400 million in the UK, 400 million in the US, and 200 million in Ireland, roughly. We've in the UK, it's predominantly going to be around big new motorway locations. We're due to open a big site in Rotherham in January, which will be our first new motorway site in a long time. That's going to cost about 55 million, and we've another 4 sites in the hopper coming closely behind it, plus other what we call trunk road service areas, which are the main road sites, but just not on motorways. In the US, then it's going to be expanding in other states. So we're in for a number of tenders up in the Northeast, and namely New Hampshire and Massachusetts. We're due to build out in Colorado starting next year, and we've a number of other irons in the fire for other locations. And then in Ireland, it's rolling out our Brayburn partnership, which is our coffee our partnerships with Marks and Spencers, and we're also building out a big motorway site just north of Dublin in a place called Dunshaughlin, and we'll have more of those to come. So when you add it all up together over the 5 years, it's all within view. We can all see it. There's very little aspirational growth there because it's all stuff that we can see. So we love our business. We love what we're doing. You asked me a question earlier on, would I've ever thought we've got here? The answer is no. But like, we started off small as dealers 30 odd years ago, grew on site by site, and then sort of expanded into the UK and then expanded to the US. We went on the public markets. We came off that and now private. We have a great partnership now with Blackstone, going really well. They're hugely enthusiastic for us to grow and expand our business, and we're enjoying the journey as we do it.
Well, Joe, I mean, I think that I won't ask you to describe the future any better than that from an Applegreen perspective. I mean, from our perspective, we were delighted to see you win. We've known each other a long time, got huge respect for what you've done for this in this business and your team, who are so strong. And we really enjoyed this whole Foodvenience adventure. We couldn't have done it without Invenco by GVR, Mosley Group, and the Coca-Cola Company who got behind it. We'd like to give them a special shout out. And Joe, thank you for being such a superb winner, and our congratulations.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Carolyn. And again, as I said, this is a whole team thing. It's from the sort of design team led by Bob and the developments team, right through to the operations. It's an award for the whole team, not just Carolyn operations. It's for everyone, and we're thrilled. And we'll be back again next year trying to win it. So we'll be back again.
Thanks, Joe.
Well, that was awesome. Yes. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for your enthusiasm, for sharing so much. I look forward. I put a vote in for Virginia as one of the states that I hope you're coming to, and I'll keep an eye out on that. And so thanks again for your time today. And thank you for listening to The Future of Convenience. You've been listening to The Future of Convenience podcast, produced by Dan Munford, Nick Scherzer, Jenna Ferguson, and Lorraine Evans. It is produced, edited, and mixed by Carolyn Schnare, and music is provided by Jukebox Music. Tune in every other Friday for new episodes, and please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Learn more at globalconveniencestorefocus.co.uk.